Welcome to NSLO Legal News. This is Dr. Vibhuti Venkateshwarlu. Today I am going to discuss consumerism in India under the land justice in globalization. Before going to discuss about new legislation and Consumer Protection Act 2019, in ancient time in India, the commercial transactions, buying and purchasing, selling of goods, commercial transactions were regulated by the moral base, morality, equity, and conduct of the people on commercial transactions in ancient times. So barter system is also existed in India during ancient time in Harappan, Sindhu, and Mohenjo-daro civilizations. So barter system was introduced by the Harappan people by exchanging of things on the need base. So give and take practices were there by exchanging things among the people in the society. Mauryan times, the Kautilya Ardhashastra was a milestone document to regulate commercial transactions in India. So Kautilya's Ardhashastra is a document which regulated financial management as well as economic governance within the society. So it is a document to provide consumer regulations within the Indian society during ancient time. So which was regulated commercial transactions in India. Another important document, Manusmriti, religious document to regulate society by even including commercial transactions within the society among the people based on the religious values, morals, and other practices within the community, within the religion. So thus Manu Code was the comprehensive document to regulate including commercial transactions within the Indian society. Colonial legacy, the Indian Contract Act 1872, Sale of Goods Act 1930, and Standards of Weights and Measures Act 1939 are the legal framework to regulate commercial transactions in India during the colonial period. So Indian Contract Act is the important document to regulate commercial transactions, buying and selling among the people in India during the colonial legacy. And also the Sale of Goods Act 1930, it was a part and parcel of Indian Contract Act. In the year 1930, it was separated and enacted a special law in the name of Sale of Goods Act 1930. The Standards of Weights and Measures, also a important document during the colonial time to regulate commercial transactions. These three important legislations, Indian Contract Act 1872, Sale of Goods Act 1930, Standards of Weights and Measures Act 1939 are the important legislations to regulate commercial transactions to protect the consumer rights within the Indian society during the colonial time. After independence, this Indian Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act also continued. However, the Standards of Weights and Measures Act is amended two times in the year 1956 and in the year 1976. United Nations Guidelines on Consumers, United Nations Convention on Consumer Guidelines, they introduced in the General Assembly in the year 1985. So in the year 1986, the international community, that is UN Convention, United Nations, directed to the member states to make the laws to protect the consumers' interest, consumer rights according to needs of the states. United Nations Convention on Rights of Consumers were guiding principles. Under the guidance of the International Convention or United Nations Guidelines for Consumers, Indian government also passed Consumer Protection Act 1986 by guidelines of the United Nations Convention on Consumers is the international document which guiding the member states to enact legislations for the protection of consumers to regulate the consumer relations, consumer disputes in member states. Recently, the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 also passed to regulate the food articles, food safety measures. Recently, the Consumer Protection Act 1986 repealed and enacted new act in the place of Consumer Protection Act 1986. New act, the Consumer Protection Act 2019 is introduced. It is a new act which is recognized online commercial transactions and which is given legal recognition to the online platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and other type of online commercial transactions. Consumer Protection Act 2019 online purchasing, selling transactions also regularized the Consumer Protection Act 2019, which gives protection to the consumers and online buyers, and also protection from the unfair trade practice and deficiency of services, defective goods. It is protecting from the consumers from the defective goods and unfair trade practices and deficiency of services, and also exploitation of consumers by excess price of the goods and services. This act, this 2019 act, recognizing 6 type of rights of the consumers. This act establishing National Consumer Redressal Commission, State Consumer Redressal Commission, as well as District Consumer Redressal Commission. These 3 commissions are established by the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Consumer Protection Act 2019 having 107 sections which divided into 8 chapters. So this 107 sections are regulating consumer practices, recognizing online transactions, as well as protecting interest of the consumers. So objectives of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 is to protect the consumers from the defective goods, deficiency of services, as well as exploitation of the consumers by excess price by the manufacturers, sellers. It preventing excess price goods, services, consumers. Consumer Protection Act defined who is the consumer. So as per the section 2 subsection 7 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, consumer means any person base for a consideration of any person base for a consideration has been paid or promised or partly paid, partly promised is a consumer, but does not include person who obtain such goods for resale or any other commercial purpose, whose base the goods for a consideration as paid or promised to pay, as well as partly paid and partly promised consider as consumer, but that who are persons who take the for resale of the goods and also resale of the goods for commercial purpose, those are all not consumers. They are agents or dealers, some other persons, but they are not consumers. Consumer is strictly defined under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Consumer Protection Act 2019 recognizing 6 type of consumer rights. So among that, first right is right to protection, defective goods, defective services, and also unfair trade practices from the manufacturers, sellers, and also dealers. So this act is protecting the consumer rights from the consumers, from the sellers, as well as manufacturers, including dealers, agents, etc. So this act protecting interest and also rights of the consumers from the defective goods, services, and deficiency of services and unfair trade practices, as well as exploitation of consumers by collecting excess prices of the things and services. Right to be informed about the goods, about the quality, quantity, and also purity of the goods and services, and also the price of the service, the price of the goods has to be informed to the consumers, right to be informed. So section 2 subsection 9 also recognize to be assured. So assurance has to be given to the consumers about the goods, products and services of the competitive price. The goods of the price, the services of the goods has to be collected from the consumers as competitive price, competitive rate. That means the actual price, minimum price has to be collected from the consumers. That means competitiveness among the sellers, manufacturers has to be noticed as well as assured to the consumers collecting the prices of the goods and services. Fourth right is right to be heard. The interest of the consumers has to taken into consideration. The interest about the consumers about the goods, services has to be taken into what kind of service they need, what type of goods they are expecting, they are interested to get the goods, services while selling their goods and services or while delivering their services. Right to seek redressal. So in case of any defective service, defective goods, deficiency of services, exploitation against the consumers, exploitation based on excess price, exploitation against defective goods and exploitation in various defects or deficiency of services. So to get the redressal from the exploitation, from the deficiency of service, from the defective goods delivered to the consumers, so the consumers can entitle to approach the courts, forums, appropriate consumer redressal commissions, file compensation to get the remedies from the sellers as well as manufacturers. So right to redressal, seek redressal is important to enforce protections, legal rights of the consumers. Consumer Protection Act 2019 also giving a special right, that is right to seek redressal from the appropriate consumer redressal commissions, and also they can approach courts while to get the justice, to get the compensation from the manufacturers and sellers for their defective service, defective goods, deficiency of services, and also exploitation by collecting excess price for the goods and services. Right to consumer awareness. So the government as well as civil societies under an obligation to give consumer awareness programs, consumer awareness meetings. They have to conduct, they have to expose consumer awareness programs, their consumer rights and their limitations about the Consumer Protection Act 2019, and also about the redressal mechanisms, redressal forums, that is District Consumer Redressal Commission, State Redressal Commission, and also National Consumer Redressal Commission, and also various rights and various procedures has to be exposed and enlighten the consumers to regulate consumer transactions in India. Consumer Protection Act 2019 also expressly recognized and given provisions to for filing of complaint before the appropriate consumer redressal commissions. So section 2 subsection 6 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 explain about complaints before the consumer redressal commissions. A complaint may be lodged before the consumer redressal commissions for defective goods, for deficiency of services, for exploitation of the consumers by collecting excess prices for the goods and services. And also the consumers can file a complaint for untrade practices of the manufacturers as well as sellers. Consumer Protection Act 2019 establishing National Consumer Redressal Commission, State Consumer Redressal Commission as well as District Consumer Redressal Commissions. Section 24 and Section 8 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 enabling provisions for establishment of district consumer forums in India. Government can establish district consumer redressal commissions within a district. One or more consumer forums, consumer redressal commissions may be established within one district. So Section 34 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 giving enabling provision for jurisdiction of the District Consumer Redressal Commission. So as per Section 34 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, consumers can lodge their complaint before the District Consumer Redressal Commissions if the value of the goods less than 1 crore rupees. So if the goods value is less than 1 crore rupees, the consumers can file before the District Consumer Redressal Commissions to file the case and to conduct the investigation to get the appropriate compensation from the District Consumer Redressal Commission. Section 42 read with Section 6 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 is enabling provision to establish State Consumer Redressal Commissions. State Consumer Redressal Commission has the jurisdiction to try the cases. The consumers can file straight away to the State Consumer Redressal Commissions if the goods value is more than 1 crore and less than 10 crores. So between that more than 1 crore and less than 10 crores, up to 10 crores, the consumers can file their complaints before the State Consumer Redressal Commissions. Section 47 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 is enabling provision for filing of complaints before the State Redressal Commissions. State Consumer Redressal Commission has the jurisdiction to try the cases as per the Section 47 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. The State Consumer Redressal Commission have the jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction under Section 47 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. As for Section 47 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, the State Consumer Redressal Commission has the jurisdiction to try the complaints directly or by the appellate jurisdiction. National Consumer Redressal Commission has to be established by the under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Section 53 read with Section 3 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 enabling provision to establish National Consumer Protection Redressal Commission. So National Consumer Redressal Commission established by the central government, which is having jurisdiction as per Section 51 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, having two type of jurisdictions. One is original jurisdiction, that is the consumers can file directly before the National Consumer Redressal Commission. And also the National Consumer Redressal Commission have appellate jurisdiction as per Section 51 as well as per Section 58 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Appeals against the state commissions, state consumer redressal commissions, orders passed by the state or consumer redressal commissions, straight away they can go for appeals before the National Consumer Redressal Commissions. Consumers can directly file case before the National Commission if the goods value is more than 10 crores. So the more than 10 crores, the consumers can directly approach the National Commission as well as the appeals in the form of appeals, the consumers can approach the national commissions. Recently, the central government, due to COVID experience in the year 2020, the central government started National Consumer Helpline. So National Consumer Helpline is a consumers can directly send their complaint through the website. The website is opened by in the name of e-Dakal. E-Dakal is a online consumer court started by the central government in the year 2020. Consumers can directly, without touching the doors of the courts, without engaging the advocates, the consumers can file their complaints directly in the National Consumer Helpline in the e-Dakal website. Central government created a platform to file complaint directly to the consumer forums, that is online consumer courts, which is started by the National Consumer Helpline. So the consumers, without engaging advocates, engaging experts to file cases before the consumer forums, consumer commissions, they can directly file their complaints on online mode, and for which no advocate is required. Only thing is they need some technical knowledge, simple, how to apply, how to application, how to fill the application, and how to simply they can send their complaints through mobile phones also. And also this National Consumer Helpline started WhatsApp number, by which simple SMS, by SMS through the WhatsApp to the National Consumer Helpline, they can respond. So the consumers can send simple SMS and to lodge their complaints before the National Consumer Helpline online consumer courts. So by simple message they respond by the stop of the online consumer courts. They respond and they take the feedback, they take the information through the WhatsApp. Is 8800001915. I am repeating again, 8800001915. 8800001915 is the WhatsApp number of National Consumer Helpline, through which send their complaint directly to the National Helpline. They can send directly their complaints to the National Online Consumer Courts. This act also exempting court fee up to 5 lakhs rupees. Consumer Protection Act 2019 exempted court fee for the consumers up to 5 lakhs. Goods and services originally paid to the manufacturers or sellers is 5 lakhs. Up to 5 lakhs the court fee is exempted. No need to pay the court fees. No court fees paid up to value of goods and services 5 lakhs for their complaints. Selected case laws I am discussing here with Narmada Devi and others versus HP State Forest Corporation and others 2021 case. In this case, the Supreme Court held that employees are not entitled compensatory benefits for their death caused due to consumption of alcohol. So while discharging their duties, while on duty, not have illicit consumption of alcohol. So whoever illicit consumption of alcohol, they lose their compensation benefits from the courts, from their employers. So in this Narmada Devi and others, Narmada Devi case, the Supreme Court held that the employees who are while undergone duties, they will not consume the alcohol. If they consume, if any injury occurred while in the duty, they are not entitled to claim any compensation or damages from their employees. Tata Motors Limited versus Antonio Paula Vaz and others 2021 case. So in this case, the dealer delivered a old car to the consumer, which was with a meter reading is 622 kilometers. This old car is delivered instead of new car. So for this act, the manufacturer is not liable pay the compensation for the delivery of old car instead of new car, whereas uh, the dealer is held responsible for the acts done by the dealer itself. Aero Gross Realtech Company Limited versus Abhishek Khanna and others 2021 case. In this case, the Supreme Court held that builder is liable for the compensation for the inordinate delay of handover and completion of construction for the consumers. So the consumers can get the compensation for delay for handover of plots, handover of houses entered by the agreement. Magma Fine Corp Limited, Rajesh Kumar Tiwari, 2020 case. The financier's ownership is continuous against the vehicle, held vehicle, until pay the in all the installments, until clear all the installments. The air purchasing rights, hypothecation ownership. So his ownership is continuous against the vehicle until paying installments or complete payment of the. So Union of India versus NK Srivastava and others 2020 case. In this case, even the hospitals will not take the grounds for escape liability of compensation based on the ground of they are giving pre-treatment to certain kind of people. So in this case, the hospital is liable to pay the compensation for their negligence and damage caused by the negligence of the hospital authorities. The hospital is liable to pay the compensation. The hospital is not take the grounds that they are giving pre-treatment to the certain section of people based on the poverty, based on the caste. They are providing some pre-treatment. That is not a ground for escape or to deny the compensation to the consumers. Surendra Kumar Dilwai versus the New India Insurance Company Limited 2000. So the owner has a right to claim for the damage of the vehicle from the company, from the insurance company. The owner of the vehicle have the right to claim the damages or compensation for the insured vehicle. So the insurance company have no right to deny the claim or compensation of the actual claimant. So there is a agreement with the third party, that is the vehicle is sold out. The owner of the vehicle entered into the agreement of sale with the third party. The vehicle also delivered to the third party. So this ground taken by the insurance company to deny the compensation, to deny the insured amount to the consumers. So in this case, the Supreme Court held that third party agreement is not a ground to deny the compensation to the consumers. Some of the case laws I discussed, there are several case laws based on special issues. To go through my request is to go through all the case laws for better understanding of Consumer Protection Act 2019, rights of the consumers, the whole holistic idea about Consumer Protection Act 2019. And please subscribe this channel and promote this channel to make further videos on different issues. Thank you for patiently listening.